when I was younger, I was like, I didn't understand it. So I had a black father and a white mother, and I was a bit confused about who I was. So I didn't really understand it until I started getting to about, I would say, 12, 13, 14, when I would have different racial groups of friends. So I'd have white friends from primary school, and I'd have mostly African friends in high school. So with my white friends, I wasn't considered white, and I didn't understand that because I didn't know the difference between, like, what is the difference, you know what I mean? So at the time I was like, I don't understand. So they'd say, yeah, Ahmed, man, I remember there was one incident with one of my friends in primary school, and it was like to me, hey man, this is what you would look like if you were white. And I was like, what? I'm not white like you. This was in primary school, about grade 5. And then high school came around, and then I was like, I went to a completely different high school. It was just full of Africans. And then I felt more welcomed in a way, because, you know, Africa has got so many different complexions, it's got so many different colors. So it wasn't as different, I'd say, in a way. But in high school, it was like, they'd say, hey man, you light skin, this and that. And I'm not going to lie, you know, I kind of loved it. You know, and I was like, yeah, whatever. So I kind of took it on the chin growing up. And then as I got older and like finished puberty and started becoming a man, then I really identified who I was as a person, which is a mixed person. With the presence of my father in my life, he played a very dominant figure in my life. He was the main parent in my life. So with that, it kind of inclined me more towards my African culture.
Why don't you start with how
I met you?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would say there was a huge chunk of us Africans growing up in inner city suburbs such as Ascot, Flemington, Kensington, North Melbourne, around those areas. And we went to school in the nearby schools together, and so we were all connected. We all had like a family type relationship. So I remember one day we used to play basketball in Ascot, and then I was encountered by something that I've never seen before. There was a wall that, as a kid, I used to look at this wall and say, one day I'm going to climb this wall. So one day I'm in Ascot playing basketball with the boys and stuff, and I see Obama. So we used to call him Obama because he was a genius, but not so genius at the same time. That's where we got the name from, because of his intelligence at the time. Yeah. So I seen this guy climb up a wall that I've never seen anyone, or I've seen so many attempts of people trying to climb it up, but never ended up doing it. I said, bro, what are you doing? He's like, man, I was staring at this wall for how long? And I said, you know what? I've just got to climb it. And I said, all right, what else can you climb then, bro? And he's like, anything. Point at anything and I'll climb it. We were heavily influenced by the American gangster movies, would you say?
Lifestyle and
the music scene. And so we used to basically project ourselves as, you know,
as
whatever
gangsters,
we saw on TV or whatever we heard from in music, you know. So that played a big influence, like, in our lives, you know. So we used to be troublemakers and stuff like that. We used to get into trouble here and there. But sometimes I would always get this feeling and be like, I know today something's going to happen. I just have an ugly feeling in my heart, something's definitely going to happen. So I said, I remember that, we were at school that day. We were being cheeky, we didn't go to class that day, and I was like, we're all kicking back in an alleyway, I remember. We just used to hang around, just be little rebellious kids. And then I remember the boys were planning something, and Obama was jacked up because, like I said, he was the main man. He was the parkour genius, basically, you know. So he was one of the main guys. And I said, he was jacked up, he was J'd up, and he was ready to go. And I said to him, bro, we have been pretty bad lately. We're getting older, and there's gonna be a time where something's gonna happen. I just had a feeling that day. And I gave that speech to not only you, yeah? I gave that speech to all of the boys that day because I just had enough. And I was like, look, one day, something hectic is going to happen. So I feel like today is the best day that we just all throw our tails in and let's go back to class, because we've missed so many days of class and we're behind, and I feel like life's going to keep going and we're just going to be stuck. So I said, let's wrap it up. Everyone looked at me, and it was kind of like a peer pressure situation, yeah?
Yeah.
I would say. Everyone looked at me and like, this guy, you know what I mean? Except for my guy Obama. He was like, he actually listened to what I was saying, and he was like, he took it in and he digested it literally, and he's like, you know what? You're right. Let's go to class. And then we went to class that day. the same people that went off literally had big issues that affected their lives till today. As you get older, you realize that, especially like most of our parents, they came, you know, as asylum seekers, refugees, you know, and they literally started with nothing, you know. So I think the appreciation of what they had to do in order for us to be here and in order for us to have these opportunities is so important and detrimental, you know. Literally starting from the ground up, like imagine going somewhere where, and especially like around the time where the Africans started pouring into Australia, there was no, like there was Aboriginals and stuff like that, but African people that came in, like it was abnormal at the time, you know. So their environment at the time and everything that they did at the time, you know, in regards to them, they're hardworking, and like for them to set up a foundation for their family to eat and put a roof over everyone's head, you have to take that into consideration, because without them doing that, you don't have the opportunities that you have today.
A lot of shit just happened to me where it was just like, you know, conflict upon conflict upon conflict, and all these external things happening to me. But again, I always had that mantra of like, this is my karmic debt. It's going to be over soon. It's, you know, it's a balance. I'm going through a transformation, and I'm being tested, you know what I'm saying? So all those, you know, obstacles that I had to overcome, I knew that at the end of this darkness, there's going to be a light that's going to be guiding me, which eventually there was. And it was really, when I went back to Ethiopia and was kind of connected to my culture and saw my family again, that all this tradition and culture that I had forgotten, it just like, you know, all of a sudden, like a deep breath, it just came back to me, you know. As soon as I was there, it came back, and I finally I found myself again.
My biggest role model in my life was my father. So the business that I do today, we do it together. So it's a family-oriented business, as I said before. So I basically grew up with the business because we've been around for about 25 to almost 30 years. So I literally grew up like from zero, growing up with the business, being around and just seeing what it was achieving for people would warm my heart, you know. So I had times where I set out to try and, you know, accomplish different career objectives in my life. Like I did construction, I did a lot of different things in my life, but I think ultimately I came back to this because I felt like it was actually making a deep, impactful difference within the community, I'd say. So I've seen people come straight from overseas with, you know, no government support, struggling with finding housing, you know, kids growing up, babies running around and like really, really going through hardship. And I've seen how our business has, you know, impacted their situation in a way with helping them with basically training them and helping them with their resumes and helping them get employment and helping them get qualified and all this amazing stuff that I've seen growing up. So I'd say definitely that has really been a big impactful situation in my life where I'm like, look, you know what? It makes me feel, you know, good, and just, you know, giving back, you know what I mean? Is the best thing.
I would just say, yeah, like learn discipline, have a morning routine. You know what I'm saying? Have a routine, write your goals down, write your career down, no matter how big the ambition is, just write it down. Like, what if? Use your imagination. That's how every successful person got to where they are right now, is using their imagination. So yeah, learn discipline and listen to like motivational talks and speeches of like those people that you respect or that the field that you want to get into. You know, listen to like people who are older than you. That's how we learn.
What advice would you give young people who feel that they can't speak to their elders, that elders won't listen, elders don't understand, culture's too different? Based on your experiences, what would you tell them?
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say rebel against the elders or anything like that, but I just feel like if you do something catered for them, you know what I'm saying? Like that actually incorporates them and you actually listen to what they have to say. Man, honestly, that has made the biggest difference in my life, is actually listening to the elders, hearing what they have to say and incorporating it into my work and actually like catering it for them. They'd be like, wow, like I'm actually being heard, I'm actually being listened, because I feel like there's this cliche or stereotype of like, oh, elders, they just don't get it. They just don't understand. It's like, is it they don't get it, they don't understand, or you're not listening? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're actually listening to what they have to say and using that as fuel, or using that to actually like make a difference or make a change, I mean, there's so many different ways, but I think the key for me has just been listening and targeting their grandchildren or their children.
I would also say watch out for peer pressure. So you don't have to prove, you know, how cool you are or how, you know, much of a you are by indulging in activities that are ultimately going to affect your life, you know. If you've got that gut instinct that's telling you don't do it, because you're getting that for a reason in the first place, just don't do it. You know, if you feel like, you know, you got to prove yourself to someone else who's ultimately not really going to care about you like that, just don't do it, because it's going to affect you at the end of the day.
Back then, we actually literally had no role models. You know, we had to look at America, for example, the lifestyle there. When the only images of a black man is shown through, you know, he's like a gangster, or he's like in jail, or he's doing this, he's doing that, and that's the only thing that's being projected. It's like, you, as a kid, you're a sponge. You're taking everything in. You know what I'm saying? So that starts to become your reality. That starts to become part of you. And it wasn't until, I guess it wasn't until, I think it was last year that we were reflecting back, and you know, a couple of kids would, when we would go to the community, and a couple of kids would come at us and be like, yo man, I started doing music, I started doing music videos and stuff like that after seeing Sino's video, and in the bottom as well, in the credit, it said co-directed by Sami Obama. And they were like, dude, man, like this is crazy. I got into video production because of you guys. I do this now, I do that. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. Because like, I wish we had that. You know what I'm saying? I really wish we had that. And there's so many potentials that like this youngins have right now as well, especially with, you know, social media. I wish they would utilize it to their advantage instead of being a consumer. You know what I'm saying? Because there's just so much potential.
So if I was speaking to a younger version of myself at those ages, the first thing I'd say is utilize your ideas, utilize your mind, because it's a superpower. You know, being young and black, as a minority as well, I'd say is a superpower. You know, so use any idea, any inspiration or motivation that you get, use it as literally a charger for your battery, and just go. You know, don't let anyone tell you, oh, I don't think you should do that. I don't think you should just run with it. You know, and sooner or later you'll start flying.
Binaya, Patatiku, Binaya, Sino.